If you're in debt, it's probably not because you're simply bad with money. You could be using the wrong tools, or maybe you haven't learned the right habits yet. I was in so much debt once that I couldn't even afford a bottle of water at the office I worked out of. I would refill an old plastic water bottle in the bathroom sink just to get through the day. So today, I'll share the 6 strategies that have helped me and others get out of debt and also stay out of debt. Let's get into it. The first thing I'd do is make yourself accountable to your spending and know where your money's going. The thing that helps me the most anytime I'm calculating a large expense in my personal life or for my business is to write things down. This helps me understand the expense, how much it will cost, and I also remember all of the details if someone asks me about it. For example, if I'm spending $5,000 per month, but my income is $4,000 per month, well, now I know why my debt keeps getting bigger and bigger. That in itself could be enough motivation for me to make the adjustments. If it's not though, here's another thing you can do. Tell a friend about your bad spending habits. What it will help you do is create some social pressure, and that will help you stop the behavior. It'd be like a friend telling you, hey, I'm going on a diet. I'm cutting out fast food, soda. I'm not gonna eat junk food anymore. Then a week later, you see them at McDonald's with a burger, fries, and extra large Coke. You're gonna be like, come on, man, I thought you were on a diet. So if you're serious about breaking bad spending habits, here are some things I would do. I'd write down every expense. If every expense seems like a lot, start with the big ones. See where you need to improve, and then try telling a friend or family member what you're wasting money on. Try talking to someone who will help you, not criticize you on this point, because that's typically where people don't want to talk to others. Work hard on actually fixing your bad spending problem. Try to instill good spending habits, which means not always getting the coffee out. Step 2 is to create a system for you that helps you stop overspending. What makes it easy for you to overspend? For me, it's credit cards. It's so easy just to swipe or scan. The opposite of using a credit card would be what? Using cash. I remember when I was in my early 20s, I was going to New York City with a group of friends for the day, and I didn't want to use my credit card in the city. So I went to a local ATM at home, I took out cash, and the cash that I took out was my limit for the day. The thing was, I had a physical limitation that forced me to think before spending. That was one day. Imagine if I did that every day. So if you're trying to stop bad spending habits, you could try switching to cash. I know that's worked for a lot of people. And if that seems scary, or like, I don't know if that's realistic, it doesn't have to be a long-term thing. Make it a goal, perhaps to do it just for 1 week or maybe 1 month. And what you could do if you really want to see if it works, track your spending before you make that change, and then after you make that change, and then see where you're at afterwards. You'll probably be surprised by the results. When it comes to budgeting, it'll definitely help, but personally, I wouldn't put all of my focus there. I did not. What I focused on was generating income instead. Here's what I would do. Fix the bad spending habits first. If you're overspending, you're always going to have debt and you're going to feel stuck. After you fix your spending, focus on paying down a few of your debts that are taking up all of your time and attention and they stress you out. Then begin to focus on income. How do you do that? If you're in sales, this is probably the easiest way to generate more income. What you can do specifically, especially if you feel sales is tough, focus on developing your skills. Practice your presentation aloud. Practice asking questions, your tonality, pausing. Anytime you get a question from any of your prospects or clients, write that question down and think, what I appreciate in terms of an answer if I asked that same question. If you continue to work on your skills, people are going to want to work with you, and then that will translate into you making more income. The money will always come if you just focus on your skills and helping others. Next, kill your debt before you start investing or trying to grow your money. Dr. Ace is an endodontist who coaches other endodontists on how to scale their practice, and he also provides coaching on what they should do with their money. And in his book, he goes through the math and proves that paying off your debt including your mortgage, often yields you the highest return before investing in other areas. Here's the thing I appreciate about his advice the most though. If you focus on paying off your debt first, how much stress do you think that alleviates for most people? A ton. Yes, it does. Years ago, I went to one of Dr. Ace's events. He actually invited us to speak about cash value life insurance. What I saw though was that the students who paid off their debt before saving and investing had more money, but they were also making more money too. And a big reason why the mental weight of that debt was gone. For some people, trying to save money while paying debt off at the same time can feel like you're running a marathon, but you're carrying a 50-pound bag too. You can only go so fast and you are going to be exhausted after just a few feet. Once you get rid of that extra weight though, and you don't need to carry that bag, how much faster can you run? So much faster. That's what I saw happen with so many of Dr. Ace's students. The mental weight was lifted, where they didn't have to think about their debts anymore. Here's what I would personally do. Before investing, I would pay off my bad debts. Doesn't have to be all of them. And then once those bad debts are gone, I'd build a safety buffer. This can help prevent the bad debt from coming back, because once my debt is cleared, I can make decisions with so much less stress. The next strategy is by far the best of both worlds. I would use a whole life insurance policy as a strategic tool to clear my debt altogether. What a whole life insurance policy allows you to do is pay off your debt, but keep your money compounding for you. Here's how it works. Let's pretend that you have a whole life insurance policy. For the sake of this example, we'll pretend that you started the policy and it is a policy with cash value of $100,000. Okay, we'll say that the death benefit is worth $500,000 just for simplicity. Now, in 10 years, if you just keep doing what you're doing, your cash value is going to appreciate to $200,000. And we'll assume today, several years into this policy, it's earning about 5% per year. So you've got a whole life insurance policy, your cash value, 100 grand, earning 5%. You could still be adding some money to it. And just to keep this example simple, 10 years down the road, you're going to have $200,000 in cash value. Now, let's pretend you have $50,000 of credit card debt over here. So credit card debt, 50 grand, okay? And we'll pretend that the interest rate 25%, because credit cards are high. And last thing here too, let's assume that your payment is 2 grand. So here's typically what people do. If I've got that 100 grand in cash value, I can take a policy loan up to whatever my cash value is, typically about 90%. So if I take a loan for $50,000, what I can do is pay off the credit card debt. So this is now paid off. However, I've got this $50,000 loan on my policy, and the interest rate will depend on the company, might be between 5 and 6%. 5% of $50,000 is $2,500 per year that I would need to pay to the insurance company. Loan interest accrues at annual simple interest with whole life insurance policies. But why I would do that, here's the key on this and why people use this as a debt consolidation tool. When I take that $50,000 against my policy, I still earn on the full $100,000 of cash value, meaning it continues to compound. Yes, I have to pay interest on it. One potential drawback to some is when you take that $50,000 loan, you're going to see your life insurance benefit also drop by $50,000. The insurance company holds that as collateral anytime that happens. But my money keeps on compounding. So now what you can do is take that $2,000 payment over here, pay the policy loan, repay policy loan at $2,000 a month, which would be $24,000 per year. It's going to take you between 2 and 3 years to pay off, as opposed to feeling stuck in the credit card hole. And the key here is once you've paid it back, that policy loan, it's worth the same $200,000 it would have been as if I never touched it in the first place. So my money kept on compounding for me. So here's what I would do if I'm interested in the strategy of using a whole life insurance policy to pay off debt. The first thing I would do, this is the most important, if you don't do this right, it'll mess everything else up. In the first year, focus on this point. Whatever you pay into the product, your cash value at a minimum should be between 80 and 90% of your payment. Meaning if you pay 10 grand, it should be between $8,000 and $9,000. Make sure it's set up to be cash rich from the beginning, because that means you can use it to pay off the debt, but it also means it's set up for minimum commissions and maximum long-term cash value. The second thing that I would look for here is what is called a break-even 3 to 5 years. And if you don't know what break-even means, it's simply looking at the total amount of money you've paid in, and it's the first year that your total cash value is greater than the total amount that you've paid in. So if I'm paying $10K per year for 5 years, that's $50,000. By the 5th year, my cash value should be at least $50,000 or more. If that's the first year that I have more than what I paid in, my break-even point would be year 5. The next thing I would do, always look for one of these 4 companies: Mass Mutual, Guardian, New York Life, and Northwestern Mutual. The simple reason why is because when I look at whole life insurance policies that have lived the test of time, I've seen the strongest results with those companies. Other companies and other products project better looking numbers on paper, but I haven't seen them actually produce better numbers than what whole life insurance policies with the major mutuals have produced. So there's an unseen element there, but it's very important to make sure we're looking at those companies. Next, with the whole life insurance policy, if you think that you have to pay premiums forever, you don't. It's very easy to set up a policy where you pay into it for just a few years. And then lastly, when it comes to the debt strategy, what I would do is flow money through a policy, build the cash value up, that's step 1, then borrow against that cash value, pay off your debt, and then take the cash flow that was going toward the debt and use that to pay back your policy loan. That's the cycle that we like to implement for clients that use this strategy. Once your debt is gone, I would prioritize protection, because the fastest way back into debt is to have no buffer, meaning no money in cash to service that debt for when life happens, because it will happen. I use credit cards every day, but I also make it a point to pay them off monthly. When I have that buffer there, I don't have to spend time worrying about the debt and how I'm going to pay it off. And that allows me to make faster business decisions, which allows me to focus on generating more revenue and income. Here's what I would do. Write down your buffer number. The buffer could be 3 months of expenses, 6 months, 12 months. You can test the different ones, but the key is find out what number works for you. And then once you hit that number, you'll probably have less stress, which will allow you to make better decisions in a faster manner. At least that's how I look at it. If you enjoyed this video, here's a video that can show you how to use a whole life insurance policy to pay off debt.